we managed to reverse a whole host of health outcomes, because insulin resistance and inflammation are the two driving factors of every illness and disease that we know of. So when we begin to remove the grains from our diet, which are high in carbohydrate, and then we come on to the seed oils, so vegetable oils, which are high in an oxidized omega-6 called linoleic acid. Now, linoleic acid increases insulin resistance at a 6% higher rate than even carbohydrates do. So the biggest bang for our buck would be to remove these vegetable oils that we're told are good for us and we're told are heart healthy. These seed oils are not good for us. They're not heart healthy. I would argue that they are one of the two main driving factors in regards to cardiovascular disease. They damage our healthy LDL particles and convert them into pattern B LDL particles, which are the damaged particles. This excess consumption of carbohydrates causes oxidation to the cells. So between oxidation and glycation, the glucose causes glycation, which is when the cells become sticky. So this process of glycation and oxidation between these foods that we're eating leads to all of these deleterious downstream effects of ill health. We can start looking at vegetables. I don't know how deep you want me to go into this, because it's a rabbit hole, but I used to consume smoothies every morning, even on my keto journey. I used to consume kale and spinach smoothies, which I'd add my turmeric to and black pepper. Now I'm carnivore, and I'm quite a strict carnivore. I would argue possibly, up there with the strictest in the world. Although not the strictest, I do know carnivores out there who are more strict than myself. But in terms of when we compare this to low carb and being ketogenic, I'm incredibly strict. But that doesn't mean that I don't advocate low carb, even dirty keto, because any gravitation into lowering carbohydrates, you're going to see a benefit. Any gravitation into removing seed oils. And I would argue that removing the grains and seed oils are going to see the biggest impact anyway. So if there's only two things you can do to improve health, is to take these out of your diet. And then we look into So carbohydrate is number 4 on my list, actually, after grains and seed oils, and making sure you get plenty of salt. Carbohydrates are number 4. But, and that's not even getting into keto and carnivore. But as you gravitate down this list, then, you become, the deeper down the rabbit hole you go, the healthier and better that you will feel. But I support anyone that wants to work with any area of this. I don't expect people, that I speak to and work with to become carnivore. I just like to educate them into the damage that these foods are causing. And then it's up to that individual to decide on where they want to reside on that path. If you can go as deep down this path as you want, if you're happy at the first stage, then that's fine, and if you are suffering with other issues like arthritic pains or kidney problems, this is when I would say to them, well, let's look at the food you're eating, the plants. Let's look at the oxalates. Spinach is incredibly high in oxalates. Turmeric, which we are told to consume to alleviate joint pain, is incredibly high in oxalates. It's these oxalates that are causing those problems. So we are adding more oxalates to the problem. Now, the body tries to excrete these toxins through phase 2 detoxification in the liver. Glucuronosyl transferase binds these to glucoraphanin and tries to excrete it from the body. But when we consume black pepper, it blocks glucuronosyl transferase. It blocks our body's ability through phase 2 detoxification to take it out of the liver. So we think that we're helping the body absorb more, but what we're actually doing is preventing the body from excreting this toxin. So adding black pepper to your turmeric and your spinach smoothies is absolutely counterintuitive to health and well-being, especially if you suffer with kidney stones or arthritic pains. Which is something that I did early on in my journey. So when I was ketogenic, I used to consume my spinach smoothies with my kale and black pepper and turmeric. And, these are things that I've learned as I've gravitated deeper down. But all plants contain toxins. They contain phytoalexins, plant toxins that are fighting for survival. They're there to protect the plant. As human beings, we can run away or we can fight. And it's the same with any other animal within the kingdom. They can fight back or they can run away. A plant doesn't have that option. It's rooted to the ground. So their defense mechanism is these plant toxins. All plants contain these phytoalexins, which are toxic to humans. And, as you've heard from one of the podcasts that I was lucky enough to be on with Dr. Anthony Chaffee recently, he goes into detail in regards to how much carcinogens are actually found within plants that we consume every day. Every plant in the supermarket contains at least 56 known carcinogens, which are, cancer causing to human beings. 56, yet we are told to consume these predominantly on our plate. And I'm not telling, any of the listeners out there that any of the followers you have not to consume these foods, but because consuming these are going to be considerably healthier than eating grains, and consuming these is going to be considerably healthier than eating processed foods. But again, it comes to where you want to sit on this ladder. But I truly believe that the healthiest way to live is being ketogenic. And the elite end of that is being carnivore. So I'm predominantly, or I am animal based. I consume meat, eggs even, fish and cheese. So I do consume cheese. I don't consider cheese to be dairy. And I know that may sound silly to some people, but I don't drink milk because of the casein content and the lactose. But when we create cheese, it's treated with enzymes like rennet, which take a lot of these out. So what you find with people who can't consume milk, they can consume cheese. And this proper cheese doesn't contain any casein. And it's this casein in the milk that will lead to intestinal permeability. Even in A2 milk or raw milk that a lot of people within the movement are consuming, this still causes intestinal permeability at a much lower level. But again, it comes back to where you want to sit, on this ladder or this path. But what I try to do is educate people and say, well, look, this is what all of these things cause. This is better than this is better than that. But as long as you understand, that these things cause these issues, then, you can make an educated decision every day. One of the biggest things for me recently is coffee. Now, I love drinking coffee. I still love drinking coffee. But coffee, we know, contains caffeine, and caffeine can have a negative impact on cortisol. But besides that, it's high in a compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide is a known carcinogen, and it's accumulative. It can cause inflammation and serious issues within the body if we consume it on a regular basis. But this is exactly what we do with coffee. We wake up in the morning, we have a cup of coffee, then we have another cup of coffee, then we have some days I still do this. And, if Dr. Chaffee is listening, he'd probably be pulling his teeth out listening to this. But, I'm not going to lie about my way of life. I have massively reduced the volume of coffee that I consume after, coming across this research. But I still love drinking coffee, but I've reduced the volume. So some days, I won't drink coffee. I'll go weeks without coffee. But if I want one, I'll have one. And my thinking behind this is that, I'm at least with removing the cumulative effect. But my body can cope with a little bit of coffee, but Dr. Chaffee's can't, because when he puts coffee in, he has inflammation and sore joints and muscles immediately. It doesn't have that effect on me. So, I still keep it in occasionally. So it's finding what works for you, listening to your body, and adjusting to that, but it, I love the way I get to eat steak and eggs every day.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? It's amazing.